There is no specific National Electrical Code or NEC requirement that prohibits the ground pin from facing down on a horizontally oriented plug. However, there are several practical reasons why it is not commonly done. Firstly, safety. The ground pin is designed to be the first point of contact when the plug is inserted into an outlet, and it is intended to provide a low resistance path to ground for any fault currents. If the ground pin is facing down, it is more likely to be obstructed by the floor or other objects, which could compromise its ability to provide a reliable ground connection. Secondly, convenience. When the ground pin is facing down, it can be difficult to insert the plug into an outlet, especially if the outlet is located close to the floor. Thirdly, aesthetics. Most people are accustomed to seeing the ground pin facing up, and a horizontally oriented plug with the ground pin facing down may appear to be wired incorrectly. For these reasons, it is generally not recommended to install a horizontally oriented plug with the ground pin facing down. If a customer insists on this configuration, you should carefully consider the potential safety and usability implications before proceeding. The ground pin's primary function is safety. It serves as a critical component in the electrical system, providing a path for fault currents to return to the source, tripping the circuit breaker or ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, and preventing electrical shock. When the ground pin is oriented downwards, its effectiveness can be compromised due to the increased likelihood of obstruction. Debris, dirt, or even the floor itself can interfere with the proper connection between the ground pin and the grounding contact within the outlet. This obstruction can lead to a higher resistance ground connection, reducing the effectiveness of the grounding system and increasing the risk of electrical shock in the event of a fault. Imagine a scenario where an appliance experiences a fault, and a live wire comes into contact with the metal casing. Normally, the ground wire would provide a low resistance path for the fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the breaker and cutting off the power. However, if the ground pin is obstructed, the fault current may not be able to flow quickly enough, leading to a dangerous buildup of voltage on the appliance casing. This voltage could then present a shock hazard to anyone who touches the appliance. In addition to safety concerns, the downward orientation of the ground pin can also present practical challenges in terms of convenience. Inserting a plug with the ground pin facing down can be awkward, especially in outlets that are located close to the floor or behind furniture. The user may have to bend down or contort their body to align the plug with the outlet, which can be uncomfortable and time-consuming. Furthermore, the downward-facing ground pin can make it more difficult to remove the plug from the outlet. The user may have to exert more force to pull the plug out, which can put stress on the outlet and potentially damage the plug. From an aesthetic standpoint, the downward orientation of the ground pin can simply look out of place. Most people are accustomed to seeing the ground pin facing up, and a plug with the ground pin facing down can appear to be wired incorrectly or unconventional. This can be particularly jarring in settings where aesthetics are important, such as in homes, offices, or retail spaces. While there is no explicit prohibition in the NEC against orienting the ground pin downwards, the considerations of safety, convenience, and aesthetics generally outweigh any potential benefits. It's important to prioritize safety and ensure that the grounding system is functioning properly. In situations where a customer insists on a downward-facing ground pin, it's crucial to have an open and honest discussion about the potential risks and drawbacks. Explain the importance of a reliable ground connection and the potential consequences of obstruction. If the customer still insists on the configuration, it's important to document the discussion and obtain written acknowledgement that they understand and accept the risks involved. Additionally, consider exploring alternative solutions that can address the customer's needs without compromising safety or convenience. For example, you could suggest using a different type of outlet or plug that is designed to accommodate the desired orientation. You could also consider using a power strip or surge protector that has a rotating plug head, which would allow the customer to orient the plug in any direction they choose. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to install a horizontally oriented plug with the ground pin facing down is a complex one that requires careful consideration of all the relevant factors. It's important to prioritize safety and ensure that the installation complies with all applicable codes and regulations.